Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Before starting my video, if you didn't subscribe my channel yet, please do, and do not forget to turn on notifications because I'm sharing every week great contents for you. Alright, in this lesson we will continue our services. We did our previously preparations. Now we will them fill our service classes inside. Alright, everything will be same what we done our MVC project. Only difference is going to our return type. We will return always and always just one return type which we created previous lesson, custom response DTO. That class, guys. Perfect. Let's go back our service. Let's create our signatures first. Custom response DTO, and this is going to be our return type. Let's have a look our DTO. Alright, client DTO. Client. Actually, I'm going to create our listing method first. So return type is going to be list client DTO. Yep, namespace has been added. Let's say get all client list, and we don't have any parameter. If we need to add one, we just come back here and we're going to add it. Okay, the second one is going to be custom response DTO again. This time I'm going to create get by ID, and return value must be client DTO get client by ID. Our ID parameter, I forgot what we created. Let me have a look. This is integer. Perfect. So the parameter must be an integer. Alright, let's continue with add method, custom response DTO, client. Actually, you can either return entity itself and you can return no content as well. But as a, how can I say, as a best practice, we can return the entity itself. So I'm gonna make it client create DTO and create client. This is our parameter. So, but I'm using generally request as a parameter name. Alright, let's continue with update. Let me have a look our others. So we have custom response DTO, but update section is a best practice. We're returning nothing. That's why I'm just gonna create an empty class which is called no content DTO, and it doesn't have anything, any property. This is my method, and you can add normal client DTO and you can return null as well, but I don't like to use this method. Just basically creating an empty content DTO, and I'm assigning null content DTO. The return type is going to be null anyway. Alright, update client update DTO request. Perfect. The other one is going to be remove, and so we're going to return nothing again. That's why I'm using no content DTO. Let's say delete client integer ID. Should I use integer ID? Let me think for a second. Or should I use entity just entity? Let's keep integer ID. If we would like to change it, we can come back and we can change it. Okay, let's go back our now client service. Let's implement our interface. Perfect. All interfaces are implemented. Let's add our generic repository now. Private read only, I, no, I generic, yeah, repository for client. There's my client. Here we go. Let's say client repository. Let's create our constructor. Perfect. Let's start creating our listing method. First, get all client list. Alright, guys. First of all, let's get our clients from our database. Var clients, client repository, get all. Okay, let's have a look. Our return type is iQueryable. So our return type is list and client detail. I'm going to cast it to list async. So it is become a list right now. Let's do our mappings. Var map list. So I need to add my mapper. Let's add our mapper. Private read only I mappers. Mappers. As I told you before, if you're confused about how I add our mapper, you can either watch our previous MVC project. We created step by step this mapper class, or you can go my repository in GitHub and you can have a look how I created this mapper method, and you can implement it in your project. Okay, let's add parameter to the client service. Perfect. Now we can use it. Okay, mapper dot map. It is asking us a source class. Source class is list client. Yeah, the source is list client. The destination is going to be list client DTO. I think this is all good. Let's assign our request. So it is asking a request. Request is client. If I able to type it, it will be all right. But yeah, and we need a depth here. So let me think. We're going to have. Let's type 3 as a default, and we can change it later as well. And return value. Here is the difference, guy. Please be careful about it. Return type must be custom response DTO. And normally, what we supposed to do, new custom response. This is the basic what we need to do, but not to use this new keyword. We created static methods. Okay, so we're going to just type directly custom response DTO. We're going to give the entity. So in this circumstance, we are returning list client DTO. All right. So this class needs to implement it a list client DTO, and we have one list client DTO in our hands. Comes our mapper action, but before that, it is going to be success, and we have two overload. The first one is just taking status code, which is for our update method. The second one returning a data and status code together. Okay, let's type data first. Data is mapped list, and status code is 200, which is okay. Returns okay. I mean successful. It represents successful returns. Okay, our return is now completed. All right, let's continue to complete the other one. Let's continue with get client by ID. Let's create a variable for client repository get item by ID. Perfect. Let's have a look our return type. This is client. Perfect. Now we need to switch it to client DTO. Var mapped item mapper.map source is client DTO, destination, sorry, source is client, destination is client DTO. Perfect. And we gave client as a resource, and 3 is the depth. Okay, let's continue the return side. I'm just gonna copy this section, and basically I'm gonna remove the list because it is going to be just one item, client DTO, and this is our data mapped item, and the return is going to be 200 again. All right, let's continue create client section. All right, client repository, create item, and it is asking us a client, but we have client create DTO. Let's create our client then first. Var client, oops, var client. What's happening to my keyboard? Yeah, mapper, map, the resource, yeah, the source is client create DTO. All right, destination is client, perfect. Request is request, depth make it 3. Perfect, we have our client in our hands now. Let's give that client create item method, perfect. Let's save our changes. Okay, where is ours? Okay, it's already saving. My fault. Go to the definition. Go to implementation, sorry. Yeah, we're doing save changes in our repository. It's my fault. Let's create our return type now. I'm gonna copy this result. Okay, let's delete all of them. The return type is, as you can see, client create DTO. Here we go. And this is going to be success. We need to return a data because it is expecting to give a data. So I can give request as a data because it's mapped and saved to database. The return type must be, let me remember, 201. It is using for created results. Okay, it is perfectly done as well. Let me have a look. By the way, I would like to go back, get client ID. We are trying to find a client here, right? As you can see, and it is nullable. So we need to check this data, if it's null or not. Okay, let's do that as well. If client null, you can use equal symbol or you can use is null, but I prefer using is because it's looks like just a sentence. Okay, if client is null, I'm going to return a failed response. Okay, let's delete it here. Okay, fail. In this section, we can we need to return a data. Okay, do we have any data? Actually, we don't need to return data because we couldn't find any data. We couldn't return anything. So I'm going to just return 400, which means client side exception. Okay, let me have a look. Um, get client by ID. Yeah, we have to give a data. I think let me have a look here. Okay, just a second. Fail. So we have, yeah, sorry, it's my fault. We need to give status code and error message. Okay, status code is 400, which is a bad request, means the user give, for example, it might be user gave a wrong ID. Okay, so error message is going to be client not exist. All right, perfect. Okay, let's continue with the late section. I'm going to use this result client check here as well. Let's copy and paste here. The only difference is we are returning here no content DTO. We just basically change the variable here. If there is no client, we are returning client not exist error messages. If we have, we're going to do our delete action now. Let's copy. Actually, I'm going to copy this one. This is going to be no content DTO. I'm not returning any data. Only I'm going to return a successful status code, which is for 204, and it is going to be success. Perfect. All right. The only left is update client. All right. I'm just thinking, do we need to check our client here? But I think we might we can do our check just in case. I'm gonna add this client check here as well, but it can be changed according to your scenario. Okay, client, this time client's coming from request.id and the return type is same. Okay, so what's the problem here then? Okay, no content DTO. Perfect, client not exist. If we have a client, basically we go to our repository, update item, but before that we need to create our mapped item. The source is, all right, client update DTO. Where's update? Yep. The destination is client. All right. Let's give our source is request. Depth is, let's make it 3. Update item. We can give our mapped item right now. Perfect. Everything seems all right. Let's create our return message. Return type. Alright, it is going to be no content DTO because this is an update method and we are just returning our status code, which is 204 update completed message. Okay, all services are created. Let's minimize everything. Let's go extensions and add our how can I say, let's add our services to our dependency injection. Let me have a look. Services, not services. Sorry. Do we have any extensions? Yeah, service extensions. Perfect. All right. Great. We already add them all. All I need to add our mapper services. Add scope. I mappers. Mappers. Let's save it. Okay. Now I would like to try those services. So I'm going to continue with controller, but this controller is going to be just for test purposes. We're going to make it best practice method for later. Okay, let's have a look. Where is our controllers? Okay, I guess I need to create any folder now. Add controllers. I'm going to add a new controller and it is going to be an API empty. Yeah, let's give let me think for a second. This is a client services, right? Let's give client controller. Okay, perfect. First of all, I'm going to call my service. Let's create our constructor. I'm going to create my first method, which is for get all public I action result. As you can see, everything seems same except our routing and inherit class. This is controller base, which is different from MVC. MVC is taking just controllers, and controller inherit from controller base as well. So this is the base um, class, um, and the root is a little bit different if you compare with the MVC. Because MVC section we have a default root here in our middleware section. But in API system a little bit different. We are configuring our routes in our controllers for every controllers. You can type your controllers or you can type action names as well here if you would like to use action names for all action methods. Okay, if you have any lack of information about API fundamentals, you can watch my API fundamentals video as well. Okay, I'm not gonna touch here right now. I'm going to use RESTful APIs, which is I'm not gonna use action method. I'm not gonna use any method. All I need to use is their method types. Okay, let's continue public action iAction result, and the name is get all clients. There is no parameter. Let's continue. Var clients. Actually, I'm using result client service dot get all client list. Perfect. And return OK result. We are returning, guys, OK, bet request or new object result. It's up to you which method you're going to use. But I'm going to create a kind of non-controller controller class, which is going to get it's going to get the result what we have in our controller, create the logic, and return here back again as a manipulated data. But for now, I'm going to create this control as a test purposes. It is not going to be best practices. We're going to fix that problem later. All I need to see is are those are working. Okay. And this is going to be a get method, HTTP get. Perfect. Let's save everything. Let's build our project, and I'm going to test if it's working or not for now. In these test purposes, I'm just going to use Swagger, but for the future, we're going to continue with our Postman to create our fake request for our project. Okay, let's run the application, and I would like to see that HTTP get endpoint if it's working or not. Here we go. This is our client. Let's click try. Let me make the screen a little bit more. Let's try it out. Once I click execute, we're going to send request to our endpoint. Let me put a breakpoint here. Okay, here we go. This is our breakpoint. Let's continue. All right. We received a 200, but data is empty. Status was 200. Error is null. There is data is null because we didn't create any object yet, but we are receiving 200. This is success method. Okay, and we're receiving data empty. This is not null. This is empty data, and status code is 200. Error section is null. So it means it is working. Okay, now I'm going to continue, create all controllers, and I'm going to make it best practice, and then I'm going to try the other endpoints as well. All right, let's continue. HTTP get public I action result get client by ID integer ID. All right, var result client services get client by ID and return OK result. Okay. Now we are not using action names. Let me show you. Let me run the application again. Okay. We received an error. I want you to see this error because let's go back. I'm going to type my root right now. This endpoint has base address slash API comes from here slash controller name, which is client, and that's it. This is our endpoint. Because we're not using any action name, anything else. We are using, basically we are telling our controller, give me only HTTP get, give me the method only belong to HTTP get method. But we have two methods and two of them is belong to HTTP get method. So the system is get confused. So we need to make these two, how can I say it? We basically need to tell this method is for all clients, this method for just one client. So to do that, let's type here base address API client, for example 5, for example 3, whatever it is. Okay, I'm going to type here ID. To do that, guys, we just basically open a parenthesis and here we're typing ID, same parameter what we type here, and this ID uh, comes here just after client as a parameter. So when we run the application, our routes created according to this logic. As you can see, API client ID. Perfect. I assume you understand how it's working. Let's continue. Create action. HTTP post we are using for create actions. Public I action result create client create DTO request result client service create client request return OK result. Actually, let's make it created. Must be, yeah. It's empty. Okay, created result returns created result. Let's have a look. Okay, created returns null, I guess. Okay, let's leave it created. We're going to check it anyway. So basically, this endpoint going to be base address. I don't interested in okay created whatever we have because I'm going to create my own result type, so don't worry about it. API and client controller name, and that's it. As you can see, our roots are same, but basically it belongs to the HTTP post. So the system can understand this route belongs to get, this route belongs to post. All right, let's continue to HTTP post, sorry, put for update. Public I action result update client update TTO. Perfect. Control KD var result client service update client request. Any updated result? I'm just going to return created. Actually, there's another one. Just make it created. I'm gonna actually let's create new object result, which is I'm always using this one. Okay, let's have a look this object result. Let's give result as a result. This is going to be data, but basically we don't have any data. Actually, I'm going to return empty. Let's make it empty, but we need to send a status code. Must be alright, I guess. Let me have a look. Okay, we going to pass null. Perfect. We're going to definitely change it. Just for try, I'm just adding this, guys. Okay, the root is going to be again base address API client, and system going to check. Yeah, we have same base address, but it belongs to put method. Okay, let's create delete. I'm just going to copy and paste. Delete client, and we just need integer ID here. All right, delete client. Let's give ID. Turn new object result. Okay, it seems everything all right, but we need an ID. We need to receive an ID as a parameter. Then I'm going to give ID here as well. Perfect. And the parameter is going to be same as that one, but this one belongs to delete HTTP delete, and that one belongs to HTTP get. Okay, save everything and run the application, and let's see if they are working or not. First of all, we don't have any data in our database. I'm going to run API client section. Let's click try. Okay, company name, let's say Future Ltd. The owner is Michael Jordan. The address is 20, let's say, White Street. Phone is 05478 987 654. Just random numbers. Anything else should I add? Let's click the execute. All right. We received 204. Why we received 204? Because we used. It's interesting. Created returns 204, but it doesn't matter. I only need a data. We're going to change this 204 for the future. It must be 201, if I remember correctly. I'm going to check the HTTP response code with you a couple of minutes later. Okay, now let's try to run our get all method again, and let's see the results. Okay, we have a breakpoint here. Okay, no, mapper source cannot be null. Okay, I was expecting to receive these error messages. Let's stop the application. We received the data because we didn't use our include method. Okay, let me show you. Let's go back. Let's run the application again. I'm gonna put a breakpoint to my client controller. Okay, this is get all clients. Try it out. Execute. All right. Let's use F11. Okay, we received our all clients. Let's have a look. We have address, company name, ID, owner, and phone. But we have an invoices here, which is null. But while we using this mapper in our MVC project, we never ever received null project. We always used our include methods and we never sent an empty object to our mapper. But this is a mistake, I think. We can fix this. Only thing when we are using our mapper section, only thing the initial source shouldn't be empty, but the other sources can be empty. And I'm going to fix, if we go map object, okay, if you familiar with our MVC project, you know what I'm doing right now. All we need to do is, instead of creating an exception, we need to return null. So what's gonna happen if we return null? All right, return, let's make it null first. Okay, let's minimize everything. Okay, these are initial methods, right? And the other ones is private. The source must be an object, so they cannot be anytime, any chance to be null. But when it comes to the nested object, if we have a null object in our nested properties, nested class, they can be null. Basically, if they have a null source object, just return null and don't do any mapping. And we can keep null as null, basically, instead of creating an exception. Alright, probably it is going to work now. Let's run the application and let's see the result. Let's click here. Let's try execute. We have a problem. I can remove all of them now. Let's run the application. Here we go. This is our response body. The code is 200, which means successful. We have three different property. The first one is data, and it has the data what we have. As you can see, invoices is null, company owner address, and phone number. We received all of them, and the status code is 200. Errors is null. Perfect. It means we create our company, but we didn't create any invoices related to this company. Perfect. Let's continue update method. Okay, let's try it. The ID is 1, which we just created. The company name is future ID. Okay, let me copy all of them. Perfect. Let's delete this comma. Okay, let's put double quote here. Perfect. So I want to change the company name. Instead of future, let's make it back to future limited, and the name is, let's say, Einstein. The address is Twin Pine Mall. The phone is okay. Let's keep it as it is. Let's execute, and we received 204, which is successfully updated. Let's get back our, instead of receiving all data, this time I'm going to use get by ID. Okay, let's try. The ID is 1, and we can check both method if it's working or not. Let's execute. All right. Data is null. Okay, client not exist. We have a problem here right now. It is not working properly, I guess. Let's execute the old clients. Yeah, the ID was 2. Yeah, actually it is working. I guess I previously created some data and I forgot somehow, and the ID become automatically is 2. And by the way, we tested a failed result. As you can see, the data is null. Status code for 100, which means bad request, and our error has just one error message, client not exist. Let's switch it to number 2, execute it. Here we go. 2, our update is did not work. We still have the old one. Yeah. Okay, we're going to check this method if it's working or not. Just in case, I'm going to copy all of them, not to type again. Let's create a text document here. Alright, give me a second. Here we go. Let's put it here. Let's continue because I'm going to put a breakpoint here to see what the error is. Where's my HTTP put? Let's put a breakpoint here and let's execute again. Okay, let's have a look now. The request is, okay, the ID is 1. This is the problem. We gave ID 1, it must be 2, but we should have received an error message. Let's have a look why we didn't receive error messages. Okay. The client is null. If client is null, we need to response no content DTO. Fail 400. All right. Let's have a look. Our result. Data null. Error 1. Yeah. That's because we are returning our object result. We're returning null. That's because we didn't receive any error messages, and we're receiving 204. That's the problem is in our return object section, I guess. Okay, let's leave it. I'm going to create my own object result type and it's going to be fixed. Um, Basically, if I change the ID to here instead of 1, which is it must be 2. Now it must update it. Okay, what's the problem here? Click on truck the ID. Okay, let's continue. Let's stop the application. Let's run again. It must work right now. Let's copy. I know you might be confused a little bit, but there is nothing wrong with the code. We just type number 1 instead of 2, and we have a problem R fail return. It is noted. We're going to fix it later. Okay, we have a problem with instance entity type. I understand right now. Let's stop the application. Let's go back our services. Okay, we are using get item by ID here. And also we are trying to update item here. So we are trying to track two different ID, two different entity in one time. So EF core doesn't allow us. Instead of get item by ID, I'm going to call get all. And first or default, I'm going to use first of default. And we are avoiding track the entity. Okay, let's run the application. It must fix this error, I assume. Let's try the app now. Let's paste and change the ID number 2. Let's execute 204. Let's get all perfect. The data has been updated. All right, it is working as well. Let's try to remove, and then probably we're going to get same error messages here. Let's try it. We didn't. Okay. Let's check everything one more time. Okay. Data is null. It's deleted. Perfect. All endpoints are working except returning error on our update client section. Let me check for a second what can I do for it. Actually, we don't have any problem here because we are returning our customized response. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you a basic thing here. So we can do here if result errors any, we can return basically bad request and result errors. This is going to run. Let's run the application, but I'm not going to use it. I want you to know every detail while I'm typing our methods and codes and creating our logic, and I'm going to show you the best practice methods as well. Okay, let's go to update. Let's type random ID and execute. Okay, we received again 204. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. Result errors any. We must have any error. All right. Sorry. All right, we put it in create section. That's why we receiving it. I didn't realize it's my fault. Sorry, guys. Let's delete it and put it update section. Let's save it and run one more time. Let's try again. Execute. Here we go. This is our error message, and the response is 400 client not exist. Perfect. It is working, but this is not what are we going to do. Let's leave it as it is. Now I'm going to create a base controller API empty. Let's give a name custom base controller. Okay. This custom base controller inherit controller base again. Now I'm going to create a new action result. Let's give a name create action, and it is going to receive a parameter which is going to be a type, and this is going to receive custom response DTO T request. Perfect. Return if if let me have a look now. Request dot status code. If it's 204, guys, we're going to return new object result, and this is going to be null, and The status code is going to be 204. Yeah, okay. Else, so why we have problem here? Um, just a second. Let's put that if, okay. Let's type here else. Return new object result, but this time I'm going to give my request and status code is going to be request status code. Perfect. So we have two return, right? Let's delete this one. We don't need this one. Okay. Basically, now I'm going to explain. But before that, let me finalize then, okay? And I'm going to assign is non-action. Okay. I'm going to explain step by step, guys. Do not worry about it. Let's get back our client controller. Now, instead of controller base, I'm going to inherit custom base controller. Now, instead of return OK, I can create action. I can return create action method, and it is receiving a T type, and these circumstances. This is going to be client list DTO. DTO. Where is my client list DTO? Okay, this is sorry client DTO. My fault. List client DTO, right? Return type. Yep. And it needs a data which is going to be result. But you can simplify it. You can delete all of them because inside and outside type is same. Basically, you can just return current action result. Perfect. I'm going to copy this result for all of them. Yep, here we go. For all of them, we're going to use the same result. So what does that mean? Why we're receiving this create action thing? Actually, I don't need it anymore. It is going to be created automatically. So let me show you. Once we receive our result, it is going to be sent this create action method. Once we receive our request, it is going to check the status code. If the status code 204, basically it means an update or delete method. And these two service returning no content DTO. If you go our client services, no content DTO returns 204 and no content DTO is returning 204. Where is my delete? Yeah, here we go. Sorry guys. Alright. Let's get back here. Except 204, I'm returning object all the time. And the status code exactly comes from our data. Perfect. Let's run the application now. And let's see the results step by step. Okay, let's see all data, but I guess we don't have any data right now. Yeah, we don't have any data. Let's start trying using create new clients. Try it out. Company name is new company Ltd. The owner is nobody. The address is, let's say, nowhere. The phone is none. Actually, we need to give some numbers here. Okay, let's execute it. The result is 201 and the response body is the data we just save it, guys, and status code is 201 here as well. We don't have any error messages. Okay, let's have a look our list. Execute. Here we go. The code is status code is 200. This is our data and error is null. Okay, I'm going to create another company. Let's say old company. Somebody somewhere, let's say random number, and execute. Here we go, it is created again. Let's see all data. As you can see all data just saved by us. All right, let's have a look to ID 3 and 4. Let's continue to update. All right, try it out. Let's change ID 3. Company name is let's say Duffy Duck Ltd. The owner is Duck. The address is 15 Duffy Street. The phone is 8888. Just random number. Execute it. The return code, status code is 204, and that's it. We don't have any data, anything else. Okay. Now I'm going to check using get by ID. Let's type 3 here. Execute. We received our data, which is updated. Okay. Now I'm going to give some random number. Execute it. As you can see, data is null. The response status code 400, which is bad request. Errors is client not exist. Perfect. They all working very smoothly and perfectly. Let's try to delete a data. I'm gonna type some random numbers. Oops, it must be a number, sorry. And we received again same error messages. And let's delete number 4. Execute. It is deleted with 204. Now I'm going to get all list. We have just number 3 because number 4 we just deleted. And the last test is going to be on our update. Okay, I'm gonna type here random number again. Let's execute. As you can see, we received 400. We have 400. The field is okay. This is something different. As you can see, actually this is really good to having these error messages. As you can see, we received some kind of different type of response. This is not we want to receive a kind of response in our project. We need to catch these, we need to find these error messages, and we need to switch and convert it to our own customized response DTO. We received those because we have some fields empty. That's why we received that. Let me have a look. Which one is that? Just a second. Let me have a look. Which one is that? Okay, we gave a letter instead of a number. That's why we're receiving. Do not forget, I'm going to get my notes as well. We're going to get these error messages and we're going to switch it to our type. Okay, let's execute. This is our response model. The client is not exist. Perfect. All of them is now working. And for the future now, we're going to get rid of these null check in our services. We're going to put a filter and we're going to check our clients if they are not or exist. Same exactly what we done in our MVC project, guys. Okay, alright, I'm going to finish this lesson here. It became a long lesson again, but you get used to my lessons anyway, I assume. Hopefully you are having fun and exciting my videos. Do not forget to turn on notifications and crush the like button, guys. I'm here for you all, always and all the time. Take care of yourself. See you on next lesson. Bye bye.